I always prided myself on being the kind of husband who supported his wife's ambitions. Jessica had always been ambitious, always reaching for the next promotion, the next connection, the next grand business venture. I told myself that was why she worked so many late nights, took so many networking trips, and attended events that spouses weren't exactly welcome to. I told myself it was all for us. But something changed. It was subtle at first, like a whisper in the back of my mind that refused to quiet down. While you're here, leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to know. It started a few months ago when Jessica's phone, once an open device she'd leave lying around the house, became permanently attached to her. She used to ask me to check her messages while she was cooking or driving. Now, it was either tucked away in her pocket or face down on the table with the notifications silenced. When I asked about it, she laughed. "Work's been insane," she said, shaking her head. "I just need some peace. You know how demanding my boss is." I nodded, pretending not to notice how she flinched when I reached for my own phone at the same time hers buzzed. Then there was the matter of her wardrobe. Jessica always dressed well, but lately, her outfits had shifted. She was putting more effort into her appearance for seemingly ordinary occasions. A late-night business call required a full face of makeup. A casual lunch with a coworker meant she had to buy a new dress. A weekend seminar turned into a full spa day before she left. "Isn't that a little much?" I asked one evening as she tried on a new designer dress. She scoffed, spinning in the mirror. "You never complain when I look good. What? You want me to walk into a meeting looking like I just rolled out of bed?" "No, but then don't make it a thing." That was the end of that conversation. But the real moment that sent my suspicions spiraling came the night we finalized our anniversary plans. A week in Paris. A trip we had talked about for years. I handled the bookings, double-checking every reservation, every itinerary. But 2 nights before our flight, Jessica casually mentioned something that made my stomach drop. "Oh, by the way, I switched my flight," she said over dinner. I paused, my fork hovering over my plate. "What?" "I booked an earlier one. There's a small conference I want to attend before you get there. Just a networking thing, nothing major." "That doesn't make sense," I said slowly. "We planned this trip together." "I know, babe, but it's just one day. I'll be in Paris before you. I'll even make dinner reservations for us." It was too smooth, too well-rehearsed. Something was wrong. That night, after she fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My gut told me to dig deeper. I had to know the truth. I didn't have to wait long. The very next morning, while I was getting coffee, a friend of mine who worked at the airline texted me out of the blue. "You sure about that solo flight? Jessica's got company." Attached was a grainy photo, but it was clear enough. Jessica, dressed impeccably, standing in the first-class lounge, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. I clenched my jaw, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. My wife wasn't just taking an earlier flight. She was taking it with someone else. And just like that, the doubts, the whispers, the little red flags I had ignored for months all formed into a single, undeniable truth. Jessica was lying to me. I didn't react immediately. Instead, I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. If she thought she was smart, if she thought she could play me like a fool, she was in for a rude awakening. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No, that would be too easy. I was going to plan, and when the time was right, Jessica would get exactly what she deserved. I sat at the kitchen table, Jessica humming a tune as she packed her carry-on in the next room. The photo on my phone burned into my mind. Jessica, standing in the first-class lounge, laughing with a man she had never mentioned. My hands itched to confront her, to demand an explanation, but I forced myself to stay calm. Confrontation meant giving her the upper hand. No, I needed something better. That's when I spotted it. A small, neatly wrapped gift box on the counter, gold ribbon tied perfectly around it. It hadn't been there last night. "Hey, Jess," I called, keeping my voice casual. "What's this?" She walked in, adjusting an earring. Her eyes flicked to the box, and for the briefest second, something crossed her face. Hesitation. Then, she smiled. "Oh, that's just a little thank you gift for my assistant. She's been covering a lot of my work lately." "Nice of you," I said, picking up the box. It was heavier than I expected. What is it? Jessica laughed lightly, reaching for it. Just a fancy pin. She loves that kind of thing. A pin? That didn't make sense. The weight felt off, but I let her take it from my hands, watching as she slipped it into her bag. My gut screamed at me. She was lying. Later that night, when she went to shower, I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened her bag. The box sat there, tucked beneath a silk blouse. Carefully, I unwrapped it, lifting the lid. A designer watch. Not just any watch. An expensive, sleek, custom-engraved timepiece. The back read, "Until our next adventure." I stared at it, the reality setting in like a slow poison. This wasn't for her assistant. This was for him. I put everything back exactly as it was, not letting my hands shake. My pulse pounded in my ears. If she thought she was clever, she had no idea who she was up against. I had a better idea. The next morning, Jessica left early, claiming she had errands to run before her flight. That gave me all the time I needed. I retrieved the box, carefully unwrapping it again. My plan had to be subtle, just enough to ruin the gift, to make sure it was a disaster. Then, an idea struck me. I took out the watch, replaced it with an identical cheap knockoff I bought from a gas station, and had a jeweler engrave a new message on the back. For my favorite coworker, may your marriage be as faithful as your heart. It was just cryptic enough to plant doubt, just humiliating enough to cause a scene when she handed it over. I wrapped it back up, placing it neatly in her bag. The real watch? That was coming with me. That night, Jessica was glowing. She came home buzzing with excitement, too distracted to notice I was watching her closely. "You're really looking forward to this conference, huh?" I asked. She beamed. "It's a great opportunity. Networking, learning from top executives. It's going to be amazing." I smirked. "I bet." She hesitated. "You're okay with me flying out early, right? I don't want you to feel left out." "Of course," I said smoothly. "I just want you to enjoy yourself." Her shoulders relaxed, and she leaned in to kiss my cheek. "That's why I love you." I almost laughed. As she packed her final things, I felt nothing but calm satisfaction. Jessica had no idea what was coming. Jessica left early the next morning, suitcase in hand, giving me one last peck on the cheek before she walked out the door. "I'll see you in Paris, babe," she called with a smile that would have fooled me a week ago. I forced a grin and waved her off, watching as she climbed into the car and disappeared down the street. The moment she was gone, I pulled out my phone and opened the airline app. She wasn't flying to Paris. Her real destination? New York, first class. And I had a pretty good idea of who was sitting beside her. I clenched my jaw, inhaling slowly through my nose. My hands curled into fists, but I forced them to relax. I had to play this smart. If I confronted her now, she'd spin some elaborate excuse, paint herself as the victim, and somehow make me feel like the crazy one. No, I needed undeniable proof. A message buzzed on my phone. "Mark, bro. Just saw Jessica at the airport. She's in the first-class lounge with some guy. Tall, dark suit. Real familiar with her." I exhaled. My suspicions confirmed. Me, get a picture. A few minutes later, a photo came through. Jessica, sipping champagne, smiling at a man who had his hand resting just a little too casually on her knee. Her so-called business partner. I felt the cold, detached fury settle deep inside me. I could have driven to the airport right then and caused a scene. I could have marched into that lounge, slammed my wedding ring on the table, and watched her squirm. But where was the fun in that? Instead, I made a call. "Hey, I need a favor," I said as soon as the airline representative answered. "There's been a mix-up with my wife's flight, and I need to make some changes to her itinerary." The woman on the other end hesitated. "Sir, only the passenger can. I'm the one who booked the tickets," I cut in smoothly. "They're under my account. I just want to ensure she gets a more appropriate destination." There was a brief silence, then the click of keys typing. "What would you like to do, sir?" I smiled. An hour later, I sat back, feeling the satisfaction settle in my bones. Jessica's ticket to Paris? Cancelled. Her return flight? Also gone. Her luggage? Rerouted to Alaska. By the time she got to her gate, reality would hit her like a freight train. I imagined the moment, her smug little face falling as the airline staff told her she had no seat, her voice rising in panic, her fingers frantically dialing my number. I couldn't wait. That afternoon, I received another text from Mark. Mark, dude. Jessica just flipped out at the gate. She's stuck. Wants me to call you. I laughed, stretching out on the couch, letting the satisfaction roll through me. Me? Tell her I'm busy packing. For Paris. I pictured her reaction. The disbelief, the confusion, the slow realization that she had been caught in her own web of lies. Then, my phone buzzed. Incoming call, Jessica. I let it ring. I stared at my phone as Jessica's name flashed on the screen, her calls coming one after another. I imagined her standing at the airport gate, frustration twisting her face, fingers white-knuckling her useless boarding pass. The way she must have turned to the airline staff in disbelief, demanding answers. But she had none, and I wasn't about to give her any. Let her sit in that mess for a while. Instead of answering, I silenced my phone and leaned back, sipping my coffee, staring at the half-packed suitcase in front of me. A one-way ticket to Paris was already booked, for me. I'd take our planned trip solo, first class, while she scrambled to fix the wreckage of her own making. Another call came in. This time, Mark. I picked up. Bro, he said, voice shaking with laughter. She's losing it. Full meltdown at the customer service desk. She tried demanding her flight back, but guess what? They told her the only available seat today is economy, and it's going through Iceland. I grinned. She's got options, then. Just not good ones. Oh, it gets better, Mark said. I talked to one of the airline reps. She finally checked where her luggage was sent. Man, I swear, if looks could kill. She nearly had a breakdown when they told her Alaska. I let out a low chuckle. Perfect. You gonna answer her? Not yet. I glanced at the time. Let her sweat a little more. Mark whistled. Cold, man. Cold. I love it. I hung up and stretched, feeling the tension in my shoulders slowly unwind. It had been too long since I'd felt this in control. For years, Jessica had dictated the terms of our marriage, always twisting the truth, making me doubt myself. But now, the tables had turned. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my messages. Jessica had finally switched tactics. Jessica, Kevin, there's been a mistake. My ticket isn't working. Call me. This is crazy. They're saying my flight is canceled? What did you do? Kevin, seriously, answer me. I don't have time for this. Kevin, please. There it was. The please. I let her sit in silence for a while, longer before finally typing a response. Me, oh, you made it to the gate? Hope your boyfriend was worth it. The response was almost instant. Jessica, what are you talking about? Kevin, please, just call me. I shook my head, smiling to myself. She still thought she could play dumb, still believed she had control. I stood up, stretched, then finally called her back. She answered on the first ring. Kevin. Her voice was shrill, desperate. Thank God. Listen, there's some kind of mistake with my flight. They won't let me board. Can you talk to them? I leaned against the counter. Oh, it's no mistake. I canceled your flight. Silence. You, what? I could almost see the way her expression froze, her mouth slightly open, eyes darting around as she processed what I just said. Yeah, I continued casually. And your luggage? On its way to Alaska. Might want to pack warmer next time. Her breath hitched. Kevin, what the hell is wrong with you? I laughed. What's wrong with me? That's rich, coming from you. You're the one who thought she could sneak off on a business trip with her little side piece. Guess that didn't work out. Huh? Kevin, this isn't funny. She hissed. I don't know what you think you know, but I know everything, Jessica. I cut in, my voice dropping to something colder. Mark sent me the pictures. You. First class lounge. Drinking champagne with your business partner while I sat at home, thinking you were preparing for our anniversary trip. She went quiet. I could hear her breathing, could almost feel the gears turning in her head as she tried to come up with some way to spin it. Finally, she let out a shaky laugh. Kev, babe, you're overreacting. It was just a meeting. Shut up. My voice was flat, firm. I'm done listening to your lies. Another beat of silence. Then, Her voice sharpened. You don't get to do this to me, Kevin. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Do you know what this is going to do to my job? I smirked. Not my problem. Maybe your boyfriend can help you figure it out. She made a strangled noise of frustration. I swear to God, when I get home. Oh, about that, I interrupted, checking my watch. I won't be home. I'll be in Paris. First class. Like we planned. Except, without the part where you cheat on me. Her breath caught again. You're lying. Guess you'll find out. I hung up. Her call started up again, but I didn't answer. Instead, I grabbed my bags, checked my passport, and walked out the door. Paris was waiting. And Jessica? She could figure things out without me. The moment my plane touched down in Paris, I powered my phone back on. The messages flooded in instantly. Jessica, Kevin, call me now. You seriously left? You had no right to cancel my flight. You think this is funny? You're going to regret this. Kevin, please, just talk to me. I smirked. The angry and self-righteous phase had officially shifted into the begging phase. Classic. I ignored the messages and stepped into the crisp Parisian air, flagging down a cab. The driver loaded my suitcase, and as we drove toward my hotel, I finally allowed myself a moment to process everything. For years, I had been over backward for Jessica. I'd overlooked her coldness, her little lies, the way she'd always made me feel like the problem. But seeing her in that lounge, laughing with another man, drinking champagne meant for us, that had shattered any lingering illusions I had left. Now, she was stuck at an airport, scrambling. And me? I was on the way to a luxury suite in the heart of Paris, ready to enjoy the anniversary trip I had planned, alone. Halfway to the hotel, my phone buzzed again. Mark. I answered. Tell me she's still losing it. Mark chuckled. Oh, bro, you have no idea. She's at the airline desk screaming at the poor clerk. Keeps demanding they fix the mistake. But guess what? No first-class seats left for today. She either takes economy or waits till tomorrow. I laughed. And what about her luggage? Last I heard, still en route to Alaska. She's panicking. She has nothing with her except her carry-on. I could imagine it now. Jessica, designer suitcase lost somewhere in the Arctic, standing in the middle of the terminal in her expensive heels, completely powerless. You really pulled this off, man, Mark said, still laughing. Never seen her like this before. She had it coming. No argument there. But listen, are you actually done with her? Or is this just to scare her? I stared out the window as we passed the Seine, the Eiffel Tower glowing in the distance. A new city, a fresh start. The question wasn't whether I was done with Jessica. It was whether I even recognized the guy who had put up with her nonsense for this long. I'm done, I said, my voice firm. For good. Mark exhaled. Damn. Well, in that case, enjoy Paris, man. She doesn't deserve to ruin it for you. I intend to. I hung up just as the cab pulled up to my hotel. The lobby was grand, marble floors shining under soft golden lights. The concierge greeted me warmly, handing over my key. Welcome, Mr. Dawson. Your suite is ready, and your dinner reservation has been confirmed for tomorrow evening. I nodded. Perfect. The suite was incredible, spacious, with a balcony overlooking the city. I poured myself a drink and stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the cool night air. For the first time in years, I felt free. And then, my phone rang again. Jessica. I let it ring. Then, when it stopped, a voicemail notification appeared. I pressed play. Kevin, please. I need to talk to you. I don't know what you think happened, but it's not what it looks like. I swear. There's an explanation. Can we just talk? Please? I shook my head. Even now, she was still trying to gaslight me. A few minutes later, another message came in. Jessica, fine. If you won't answer me, I'll just come to Paris myself. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? I texted back. Me? And how exactly are you going to do that? You don't have a ticket, or luggage, or money. A few minutes passed. Then, Jessica, you seriously left me with nothing? Me? I left you exactly what you deserved. Silence. I set my phone down, poured another drink, and toasted to myself. Tomorrow, I'd wake up in Paris. I'd explore, eat, drink, and finally enjoy my life without the weight of Jessica dragging me down. And Jessica? She could figure out her own way forward, without me. The morning air in Paris felt different, lighter, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I stepped onto my hotel balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up beneath me. It should have been our anniversary trip. It should have been a romantic getaway. Instead, I was standing alone, completely at peace, while Jessica was somewhere back home, scrambling to fix the mess she had made. I checked my phone. More missed calls. More messages. Jessica, Kevin, I need to talk to you. I can explain everything. I'm serious. This isn't funny anymore. Answer me. I took another sip of coffee and ignored them. Jessica had spent years making me feel small, making me question myself, my worth. Now, for the first time, she was the one panicking, the one chasing me. Then, a new message popped up, this one from Mark. Mark, dude, she's at the airline again, and she's losing it. I smirked. Me, still no flight? Mark, nope. They offered her a seat for tomorrow, but it's not first class. She won't take it. She keeps demanding her original ticket back. Me, let me guess. Throwing a tantrum? Mark, oh yeah, big time. The poor airline staff looks terrified. Security had to come over once already. I could picture it perfectly, Jessica standing there, her perfectly curated image slipping, the reality of her situation setting in. I shook my head. She still didn't get it. This wasn't just about her flight. This was about everything. She had spent years treating me like an afterthought, lying to my face, humiliating me in front of friends. She had built a life where she got to do whatever she wanted, knowing I would always be there, cleaning up the mess. Well, not anymore. I put my phone away and stepped back inside. Today was mine. I wasn't going to waste a single second thinking about Jessica's self-inflicted disaster. A few hours later, I was sitting at a quiet cafe, enjoying a croissant and an espresso, when my phone rang again. I almost ignored it, until I saw the caller ID. Jessica's mom. I sighed and picked up. Hello? Kevin. Her voice was tight, controlled. What the hell is going on? I exhaled, already tired. I assume Jessica called you. She's hysterical. She told me you stranded her. That you took her passport, canceled her flight. Her flight? Yes. Passport? No. She can get home anytime she wants. She just doesn't like the fact that it's not on her terms. Silence. Then, a sigh. Kevin, I'm not saying what she did was right, but don't you think this is a bit much? You two can work through this. I let out a short laugh. You think this is just about a canceled flight? Do you even know what she did? There was another pause. She said there was a misunderstanding. Of course, she did. I could already imagine the version of the story Jessica spun. One where she was the victim, where I was the crazy, vindictive husband who overreacted. Look, I get that you want to believe your daughter is innocent, but she's not. She was flying to Paris to cheat on me. I have proof. Jessica's mom sucked in a sharp breath. That's not Kevin. Are you sure? Positive. And I'm done. There's nothing left to fix. Silence again. Then, finally, a defeated sigh. So what happens now? Now? I enjoy my trip, and when I get back, I file for divorce. There was no yelling, no arguing, just quiet acceptance. I see, she said. I was about to hang up when she added, Kevin? Yeah? You deserved better. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I know. I hung up. By the time evening rolled around, I was sitting at a rooftop bar, sipping on a glass of whiskey, watching the Eiffel Tower light up against the night sky. My phone buzzed again. This time, a voicemail. I hesitated, then pressed play. Jessica's voice came through, shaky, desperate. Kevin, please. I messed up. I know I messed up. Just call me back, okay? We can fix this. I don't want to lose you. Please. I sat there for a long moment, letting her words linger. She wasn't sorry for what she had done. She was sorry she had been caught. I deleted the voicemail, flagged down the bartender, and ordered another drink. Jessica was my past. My future was just beginning. The moment my plane touched down back home, I felt a shift. Not in the air, not in the city around me, but in myself. I wasn't coming home to Jessica. I wasn't coming home to a marriage that needed fixing. I was coming home to end it. As I walked through the terminal, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Jessica, of course. I had ignored her messages for days, but now that I was back, she wasn't letting up. Jessica, Kevin, we need to talk. Jessica, I'm sorry. Okay? Just come home. We can fix this. Jessica, I love you. You know that, right? Jessica, I made a mistake, but you went too far. Jessica, Kevin, answer me. I didn't. Instead, I stepped outside, inhaled deeply, and called my lawyer. Kevin, welcome back. He greeted me. I assume you're ready to proceed? More than ready. Good. We've got everything lined up. With the evidence you provided, the flight records, the messages, the canceled ticket stunt, this divorce will be quick. She doesn't have much room to argue. Perfect. File the papers today. He paused. Are you sure you don't want to have a conversation with her first? I exhaled sharply. She lost the right to a conversation when she decided to book a romantic getaway with someone else. Just get it done. By the time I got home, it felt like I was walking into someone else's house. Everything looked the same, but it wasn't mine anymore. Jessica's car was in the driveway. The lights were on inside. She was waiting. I stepped in, and there she was, sitting on the couch, eyes red and puffy, hair disheveled. She had always been so put together, always so composed. But now, she looked like she had been unraveling for days. Kevin, she breathed, standing up like she was about to run into my arms. Thank God. You're back. I held up a hand. Stop. She froze. I'm not here for a fight. I'm not here for a conversation. I'm here to tell you that it's over. Her eyes widened. Kevin, no. Don't do this. We just need to talk. Talk? Like how you talked to your business partner in a first-class lounge. She flinched. Kevin, please. It wasn't what it looked like. I let out a bitter laugh. That's funny, because it looked exactly like what it was. You lied to me. Over and over. You humiliated me. You made me question myself. And the whole time, you were sneaking off to Paris with another man. She took a step forward, desperation in her eyes. I wasn't going to do anything, I swear. I just needed a break. I was feeling trapped, Kevin. You don't understand what it's like to be me. I stared at her, almost in disbelief. You felt trapped? You? Jessica, do you have any idea what it was like being married to you? She opened her mouth, but I didn't give her the chance. Every time we went out with friends, you made me the punchline. Every time I tried to talk to you about my dreams, you rolled your eyes. You controlled every part of our lives, every decision. And when I finally start pulling away, you feel trapped. Tears welled in her eyes. Kevin, I love you. No. You love having control over me. You love knowing I'll always be there, no matter what you do. But guess what? I reached into my pocket and pulled out an envelope. That ends today. She hesitated before taking it, hands trembling as she opened it. The moment her eyes landed on the word divorce, she gasped. No, she whispered. Kevin, please, don't do this. I stepped back toward the door. Already did. She clutched the papers to her chest like they physically hurt her. What about us? There is no us. Tears streamed down her face now. You don't mean that. We built a life together. You can't just throw that away. I shook my head. You threw it away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. She crumpled to the couch, sobbing into her hands. Maybe a year ago, I would have rushed to comfort her. Maybe 6 months ago, I would have felt guilty. But now, nothing. I grabbed my bag and turned to leave. Where are you going? She choked out. To start my life, I said simply. And then I walked out, closing the door behind me. The first night away from Jessica should have felt strange, but it didn't. It felt right. I had checked into a hotel with a view of the city skyline, ordered room service, and sat on the bed flipping through channels without anyone rolling their eyes at my choices. No passive-aggressive sighs. No judgmental glances. Just silence. Peace. And yet, beneath that peace, there was a simmering energy inside me. The divorce had been set in motion, but Jessica wouldn't go down without a fight. She never did. By morning, my phone had exploded with texts. Some from her, some from mutual friends. The ones from her were predictable. Jessica, Kevin, I don't accept this. We need to talk. You're overreacting. We can go to therapy. I'll fix it, I swear. How could you do this to me? The last one made me laugh. How could I do this to her? As if she hadn't done worse. As if she hadn't lied, manipulated, and humiliated me. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my lawyer. Morning, Kevin. I assume you're ready to proceed with the next steps? More than ready, I said, stretching. Has she responded to the papers? Not yet. She's stalling. But that's expected. Can she stall forever? He chuckled. No. She can fight, but with the evidence we have, she won't win. She loses the house, half our assets remain with you, and spousal support is off the table given her infidelity. Perfect. One more thing, he added. She might try to drag this out emotionally. Expect attempts to guilt-trip you. I smirked. She's already started. After hanging up, I decided I needed fresh air. I wasn't going to sit in a hotel waiting for Jessica to throw another tantrum. Instead, I headed out, grabbed coffee from my favorite spot, somewhere Jessica had always complained was too small, and walked through the park. It was a simple thing, but it felt good. That afternoon, I picked up the keys to my new apartment. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't even as big as our old house. But it was mine. No arguments over furniture. No Jessica dictating what art could go on the walls. I ordered a couch, a bed, and a desk, choosing everything with a freedom I hadn't felt in years. A few days passed, and just when I started feeling settled, my phone rang again. This time, it was a mutual friend, Mark. Dude, Jessica is losing it. I smirked. And she's telling people you blindsided her, that she was devoted to you, and that you threw your marriage away for no reason. I laughed. That's rich. Oh, it gets better, he continued. She tried telling people you cheated on her. That made me pause. You're joking. Dead serious. She's scrambling, man. You hit her where it hurts, her pride. And now she's rewriting history. I sighed, shaking my head. It was classic Jessica. When backed into a corner, she'd create her own version of reality. I could have corrected everyone, but I didn't need to. The truth was already out there. That evening, she called. I stared at my phone, debating whether to answer. Then, out of sheer curiosity, I picked up. Kevin, she breathed, as if she had just finished crying. Please, just let's talk. I leaned back in my chair. Talk about what, Jess? You can't just walk away from everything we built. I sighed. I didn't. You did. The moment you stepped into that first-class lounge with him. It was a mistake, she whispered. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was lost. Funny how you weren't lost when you booked that ticket, when you snuck off, when you lied straight to my face, I said coldly. Silence. Then, a quiet. You were supposed to fight for us. I let out a short laugh. Fight for us? Jess, I fought every single day. I fought to be respected, to be heard, to feel like I was an equal in my own marriage. And you? You treated me like a placeholder, like something you could take for granted. So no, I'm done fighting. Her breathing was shaky now. Kevin, please. I shook my head. I hope you figure yourself out, but I'm not going to be a part of that anymore. I ended the call. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt free. Later that night, I poured myself a drink, stepped onto my balcony, and looked out at the city. My life wasn't perfect. I had a long way to go. But for the first time in a long time, I was excited about what came next. The weeks following my final conversation with Jessica felt surreal. It was strange how quickly life could shift once you finally cut out the dead weight. At first, she still tried. More texts, more calls, more attempts to pull me back in. I ignored them all. My lawyer handled the divorce proceedings, and despite her attempts to stall, the outcome was inevitable. I had the upper hand. She could fight, cry, scream, but none of it mattered anymore. One afternoon, while setting up my home office in my new apartment, my phone buzzed with a message from Mark. Mark, bro, you're gonna want to see this. Attached was a screenshot of a social media post from Jessica. The carefully curated life she had always tried to present was falling apart. Her caption read, "Some people just give up instead of working things out. I guess loyalty is a dying trait these days." I laughed out loud. Loyalty? From her? That was rich. I texted Mark back. Me. She's really playing the victim. Huh? Mark, dude, that's not even the best part. Scroll through the comments. I did. And what I found made my night. People weren't buying it. Comments. Didn't you cheat on him? Loyalty? Girl, you got caught at the airport with another man. You just mad he moved on without you. She was losing control of the narrative, and that had to be eating her alive. Jessica had always prided herself on being untouchable. The perfect woman, the one who always had the last word. But now? Now she was just another cautionary tale. Meanwhile, my life was moving forward. Work had picked up, and for the first time in years, I felt truly focused. I threw myself into projects, and the more I built for myself, the more I realized how much of my energy had been wasted trying to please someone who never valued me. One evening, as I grabbed a drink at a local bar, I ran into an old acquaintance, Lauren, a friend from college. We had lost touch over the years, but she had always been one of the few people who saw through Jessica's facade. Kevin? She said, eyes widening as she approached. Wow, I almost didn't recognize you. You look different. Good different? I asked, smirking. She smiled. Definitely. Happier. Lighter. We caught up over drinks, and for the first time in a long time, I enjoyed a conversation with a woman without feeling like I was walking on eggshells. No passive-aggressive remarks. No belittling comments. Just genuine, easy conversation. As the night went on, she leaned in slightly. So, Jessica's out of the picture. Huh? Completely. I confirmed. Lauren smirked. Good. She never deserved you anyway. For the first time, I actually believed that. The divorce was finalized soon after. I signed the papers with a sense of satisfaction, knowing that chapter of my life was officially closed. Jessica fought for more, of course. She tried to guilt me into giving her a larger settlement, claimed she had sacrificed so much for our marriage. But the courts didn't buy it. She walked away with less than she expected. I walked away with my dignity intact. A few weeks later, I heard through the grapevine that her so-called business partner had dumped her. He was never serious about her, just a temporary thrill. Now, she was alone, trying to pick up the pieces of a life she had shattered with her own selfishness. And me? I was finally free. One evening, as I sat on my balcony, sipping whiskey and looking out at the city lights, I pulled out the watch Jessica had given me years ago, a gift meant to symbolize our timeless love. I chuckled, spinning it in my hands before setting it down on the table. Time had moved on, and so had I. Thank you for listening to the end. I hope you enjoyed it very much. Don't forget to give a like, and tell us in the comments what you would do in such a situation.